Hello, everybody. My name is Ratnos, and today we have a blue post that will explain what loot is going to look like over the next couple of weeks from the Great Vault. Which this is a nice blue post. It's largely what we were expecting, and in some cases, a little bit easier, actually, a little bit better than we were expecting for the next couple weeks. So let's get into it. Following the next weekly reset on July 6th in this region, the Great Vault will offer rewards exactly as it has in previous weeks. So that's to be expected. Doing whatever you do this week, you will get a reward appropriate to that next week. So Season 1 Mythic Plus key will get you Season 1 M Plus loot in the Great Vault next week. But then Season 2 will begin, and that means that the M Plus rating is going to get reset down to 0. All keys will also be lowered by an additional 3 levels. So this is less than people were expecting, and it means that you need to either, if you want to get a 15 key in your Great Vault next week, which is a number that, the top end people are maybe aiming at, because that's the one, as you'll see here, that has the best rewards for the following Great Vault, then you would want to do a 18 key in time this week, or a 19 key out of time. And either of those will be enough to mean that next week, on the week of July 6th, your Great Vault will contain a plus 15 Tormented key. That's obviously if something like an 18 or a 19 sounds crazy, sounds very high to you, a 15 next season will also be just as hard as that was at the start until you got more gear anyways. So the short news here is that your key will drop by 3 levels more than it normally would coming out of that Great Vault. But Mythic Plus next week isn't going to be fully all the way to Season 2 rewards, because the end of dungeon drops are going to be capped at plus 10 loot, as well as PvP gear, initially not being able to be upgraded past 239. So then they have further down there this table, so you can see Mythic Plus 10, Season 2 end of run, item level 229. So the highest you're going to be able to get at the end of a dungeon in the first week is going to be 229 loot from a plus 10, but you may still wish to do some higher keys, because the Great Vault that you open based on your runs next week, so the one that you will open on July 13th, the first week of Mythic Raid being open, will have the full rewards, which means that item level 252 loot is available from that vault if you can do a plus 15 key on the week of July 6th. And potentially, if you want to have 3 shots at them, doing 10 plus 15 keys is the way to get access to that. Great Vault is still a really good source of gear, even with the domination socket system and everything like that. But that system being in place does make getting more chances at your Great Vault, getting more slots into the Great Vault, have a higher degree of value. But especially since this first Great Vault won't have any raid pieces competing with it, getting access to as many of those Mythic Plus slots at whatever level you can find, giving yourself a good chance of finding those good Mythic Plus trinkets like the Ruby, like the Scale, whatever, is a really good idea depending on what class you're playing. And even if not, the more slots you find, the more likely you're going to be able to pick an item in a slot that isn't contested by your Legendary or by your Domination sockets or whatever. That is going to be a thing this season, though, is always considering, in these early couple weeks, the Great Vault choices, if you are raiding, will probably be influenced by picking something that won't conflict as much as possible with your other things. There's one more line in here that is worth mentioning, which says, as a reminder, you're only eligible for Great Vault loot from the bosses you've previously defeated on the difficulty you're looking for. For example, you must defeat Heroic Kel'Thuzad before his loot will show up as a heroic quality selection in the Great Vault. This is not actually how it worked last season. Last season, this was true for Stone Legion Generals and Sire Genathrius, but it wasn't true for the first 8 bosses, right? You didn't need to kill Hungering Destroyer to have Hungering Destroyer loot show up in your Great Vault. Next season, if this sentence is true, it suggests that that's going to be true for all 10 bosses. Now, my initial reaction to this is that there's maybe therefore some weird incentive to never kill a boss that has bad loot for you. And that may well exist, but first of all, you'd have to never, ever, ever kill it in order to keep it off your loot table for any given difficulty. And second of all, there's a good chance that these Stygian Embers items drop from raid bosses. So in addition to, the Korthia Weekly and stuff. So as long as that's the case, that will probably outweigh this incentive. And there's a good chance that this is not actually new policy and that it only applies to Kel'Thuzad and Sylvanas, just like it only applied to Stone Legion Generals and Sire Denathrius. But on the off chance it's true, there's maybe you could construct a world where you looked at the bosses and you were like, all right, well, maybe I'll just skip the Terragru kill because that doesn't have any items that I want or whatever, and I'll have a higher chance of my vault containing the other boss's items. If I had to guess, I'd say this is probably wrong. But even if it's right, the Stygian Embers, assuming Stygian Embers drop from bosses, it's not something to worry about. But if this is a change in policy for next tier, and there's no system like Stygian Embers, then at least for these first couple weeks of Heroic, it might be a new angle of degeneracy that people can min-max. So, I don't know, figured it's worth flagging and talking about, but really not a line that is likely to impact your life. It will be something interesting to test to see if it is true, though. Okay, so here's this table of the rewards in M+ next season. I've already mentioned this in a couple other videos, but in case you haven't heard, the big news here is that 15 key is the highest Great Vault loot in Season 2, whereas in Season 1 it was 14s, right? You didn't get any better Great Vault loot from going 14 to 15, you just got better end of dungeon loot. And next season, it's the reverse, right? If you want to farm the best end of dungeon loot possible, you just do 14s, that's fine. But the best Great Vault will involve going all the way up to that plus 15 key level. So I don't really have an opinion about this either way. I think it's probably good, if anything, because it'll probably make it easier to find plus 15 groups rather than plus 14 groups in the group finder, since there's incentive to go up there now. And that will make getting Keystone Master a little easier. Anyways, hope you like this video. Let me know if there's any outstanding questions you have about how the next couple weeks work. I'll put a link to this article in the description below as well. Yeah, it's mostly what we were expecting. A couple of little twists. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.